Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for coming to the course. Good friends and old friends. So today my talk is going to is a report of my ongoing project for my PhD study in the University of Sydney, and also supervised by Jim and Yegan. Thank you guys. And also I'm also a lecturer from the Medical University. So that's probably where my interest in knowledge building in medical science come from. So in today's talk, I'm going to first very briefly give you an overview of my project and the theoretical framework underlying it. And I'm going to introduce my data and then I'm going to focus on the data analysis and findings. But today I'm just going to focusing on how to unpack the complexity underlying tertiary science. As you know, actually, I'm a little bit worried about to talk about tertiary science, but yesterday we got somebody talk about physics in university in bachelor. So I think, oh, yeah, we will be good. Just follow me. And so the project is titled Knowledge Building in Tertiary Medical Science, focusing on the mbbs program in China. So what is mbbs? It's a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery English medium program in China for international students in China. So this for international students is English media keywords here. So and it started in China in 2004. So due to its relatively low cost of the degree and high reputed technology, China has become top destination for studying medicine among students from countries such as India, Pakistan, and also South Africa. So for this, so MBBSU students currently constitute the second largest group of international students in China. Second only to international students come to China to study Chinese, of course. And for this group of students, among all those problematic challenges, the challenges they faced when enter tertiary science is advanced literacy. So to successfully apprentice into the uncommon sense knowledge, specialized uncommon sense knowledge in university, they need to have the control over semiotic resources such as technical terms, grammatical metaphor, and infographics, just to give you a sense of the complexity underlying tertiary science. I'm going to show you some of the data in my study. I would just read it out. It doesn't matter if you can't really understand. We will go over them later. So both electrical and concentration gradients drive sodium into the cell. Thus, the movement of positive ion into the postsynaptic cell causing a slight depolarization. This membrane potential change is called excitatory postsynaptic potential, EPSP. The EPSP is a gradient potential that decreases in magnitude. So from these several sentences, it's very common in my data. We might identify some kind of like what's happening here is a grammatical metaphor, movement could be, and then we have some technical words such as the membrane potential change is called excitatory postsynaptic potential. But what exactly? So these are everything opposite to the common sense knowledge we might have. So the study is to explore the texturing of medical knowledge in written textbooks. That's what we are going to focus today. And also the transmission of medical knowledge in classroom practices, what I'm going to do. And also the complementary role of written textbook and spoken lectures in the construct of medical knowledge. So we hope this program will also make suggestions about changes to the pedagogy that will better support the apprenticeship of EMI students into the specialized uncommon sense of medicine. And how we will do that? How to unpack especially the complexity in tertiary science. We draw on the systematic functional linguistics. Of particular relevance to my study is the field modeling by Jim and Yegan 2021. So we draw on this the field modeling. Field register variable of field in SFL is an abstract level of meaning realized by and large through the ideational language resources at the level of discourse semantics, lexical grammar, and ultimately through phonology and graphology. And also, we are going to go over this view modeling in later when we discuss the data. And also my analysis also drawn on this discourse semantics modeling by Jin Hao 2020. But we have done, but due to the time limited, we are not going to talk about too much of the realization there. But if you have any questions, we can have the discussion in the Q&A section. And also we drove on this notion of mass and presence. Yes, again, we can talk about that later. And so briefly about my data. So my data was collected in a MBBS program in Fujian Medical University. So this program started in 2009, and currently there are 400 students there for this program. And this program lasts for 6 years. It's a 6-year program. The first 5 years is a school education, and they have 1 year of a hospital internship. And basically there are 3 types of courses: public basic courses, and the basic courses of medicine, and also specialized courses of medicine. So the subject area I chosen for my study is physiology. It is chosen for the 2 reasons. Firstly, it is the core unit of study in the undergraduate medical science curriculum in China. And also, it is the 2nd year basic course of medicine. So it could provide a snapshot of this learning pathway from secondary science to tertiary science. Yeah. Then I'm going to show you this syllabus for MBBS program in general. As you can see, physiology is with this longest teaching hours of 126. So it's basic fundamental to the knowledge building in medicine. And for this course, actually 11 chapters, 11 topics are covered. So we choose one, chapter 10, function of the nervous system, basically because of due to the availability, and also this really intriguing one, but also intimidating. We will show about. Now we are going to talk about nervous system. Before that, the data set again. I actually have 2 types of data. The data consists classroom data, this lecture recording. So all the 6 lectures done for this chapter were recorded, which amounts to 640 minutes. Still working on that. So we're only going to talk about the textbook data. The textbook data is analyzed this textbook, official textbook for this program, which is the textbook of physiology. It is published by Science Press in China, but this is an adaptation from the original, quite classical Western textbook, Benden's Human Physiology. So it's just adapted version. So the data analysis we talk about here, and what I have done is focus on this written textbook. So for this analysis, I adopted tri-stratal analysis, whereby the 3 stratas of field, discourse semantics, and lexical grammar can be brought into the picture together. And 2 research questions are asked for this written textbook. What are the field relations underpin tertiary medical knowledge? And how are these relations are reconstructed and interrelated, contributing to the complexity of tertiary science? Thus here 2 keywords: reconstruct and interrelated. So for today's talk, I'm going to demonstrate how field modeling can help make visible this kind of complexity underlying the science. Particularly, we make use of this example, the conceptualization of the phenomenon called potential. We are going to come to this term again and again, so no worries if you don't really understand. And this potential is key to the signal transmission in our nervous system. I will shift between the explaining disciplinary knowledge and discussing the field relations when necessary. So what is what we are dealing with here, as far as a field, disciplinary knowledge is concerned here. This is the general picture of the nervous system in general. Basically, if you got a fire burn in your finger, the function is that some kind of the peripheral nervous system are telling you, it will just sending this image, sending this message to your central nervous system, the brain, and you're telling, okay, to move away from the burn. And then this message will send back to the finger. You keep your, yes, you just move away from the burn. But it's too complicated for our analysis. So we just narrow it down to the cellular level. We're only looking at the, back. Just looking at these things, these little tiny cells. A basic unit here is neurons. So I guess we can count 1, 2, 3, 4. We have neurons, 4 neurons here. And we're looking at how the message is signals are traveling down one neuron and transmitting to another neuron through these areas called synapse. So this is what we are going to focus on in the data. Okay, so then the theoretical founding here, we use the SF modeling of field to discuss this knowledge, to discuss the knowledge structure here. And it is drop on the Doran Martin 2021. And field is mapped as a set of resources for construing phenomenon. It's a resources for construing phenomenon, both statically as relation between taxonomies, or dynamically as activities oriented to some institutional purposes. And also in this modeling, we also have the gradable, probably measurable properties assigned to both activities and the items. The properties are very important for my data. We are going to talk about it later. So we just to start to begin with the taxonomy static perspective. So field can view phenomenon statically as either single item or multiple items that can be taxonomized in according to the composition. It's a part-whole relation, part-whole or classification, class or subclass relation. So as far as our discussion of the signal transmission here is concerned, what is under so the composition taxonomy is basically concerned with the composition of still remember the synapse. Synapse is a part. Synapse is a part to the cell, the neuron as a whole. So this is located at the terminal of the whole cell, the neuron, but itself is consists of 3 major parts. We have presynaptic neuron. It's from the previous signal, previous the part in the previous neuron. We have the postsynaptic neuron. These are from the post neuron. And then we also have this junction area between, which is called synaptic cleft. But still, we need to, there's some tiny parts. You can, so the presynaptic neuron can still be comprised of some kind of tiny parts, such as, we need to pay attention here. This is little but synaptic vesicles, inside which we can find this green dots. It's called neurotransmitter. It's like a messenger passing this information from this presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. Basically, by binding to this one, this blue one here is called receptors. So that's the basic part-whole relations we need in discussing this phenomenon here. And from the study perspective, we can be alternatively viewed in terms of classification, class and subclass. So for example, what is concerned here, basic classification we have for synapse is that different types of synapse. we can have excitatory synapse, but we can also have inhibitory synapse. So it doesn't really matter if you don't know what does it mean here. The basic thing here, we have two types, which can be indicated by the classifier thing structure, right? Excitatory and inhibitory. So this is a static perspective. Then we move on to the dynamic perspective on the phenomenon. So dynamic view also construe phenomenon dynamically as activities oriented to some purposes. So we can identify some amomentic activity, which is taken as a whole, or momentic activity that can be divided into, they are unfolded in smaller activities, which are related through implication or expectancy. So the activities, as far as my data is concerned, is basically like this. So the general, all these activities concerning the signal transmission can be distilled into one whole. That's a dynamic transmission, which in the text is unfolded, is divided into two stages by the subheading. These are the subheadings. It can be divided into two steps, neurotransmitter, neurotransmitter release, and also postdynamic activation. And if we focus on the second stage, it can further unfold into smaller activities, such as you remember the neurotransmitter binding to the receptor, and then we have this kind of channel open. Then we can have ions moving in and out. So just give you a general picture of the activities going on here. Thus far, we have discussed a phenomenon from the complementary perspective of Tahoe relation or clock of the synapse, or the class or subclass relation of the synapse. And we also discuss it in terms of the activities, like neurotransmitter binding to the receptor, opening the door channels, and ions passing through from the previous neuron to the post-synaptic neuron. But for this tertiary level science, we need more to account for this phenomenon here. For example, in the text, we can find in the text explaining potential for my potential test. We can find sentences such as this. You can pay attention to these underlying things here. For example, we have open non-selective channels that are permeable to something, and the concentration gradient drive sodium into the cell. And we have chloride equilibrium potential more negative than resting potential. And we have resting potential would be like minus 90 multiview. So here, these examples are actually construed field by either describing the qualities, for example, channels are being permeable, or indicating the direction of the movement into the cell. And some of the terms are array. They can be array. One is more negative than the other, or the rest, some of them can be quantified. So to account for this conceptualization underlying here, we need to bring in one more field resources. That's what I have already mentioned, that is property. So in Doran and Martin 2021, property is a field construing resources that organize potentially gradable qualities or positions of items and activities. So these are very important for the field construing in my data. So some examples from my data. The two types of qualities are identified here. One is qualitative property, which describe the qualities of an item or an activity. For example, channels being permeable to some ions, or it describes the spatial temporal property, position or direction here into the cell. And also properties could be array, Comparatively, one is more negative than the other, or it can be measured and quantified, digital or gauged. Here, so resting potential is about minus 90 million volts of this unit here. So these are the properties. Last fall, we have, this is the general, these are basic parameters the field allow us to construe 3 perspectives on phenomenon or knowledge, either relations, whole, or classified between items, a series of activities unfolding, or an array of gaugeable properties. If just so this method is perfect for this pretty more common sense language, more common sense knowledge to account for this complexity underpinning this uncommon sense phenomena of tertiary science. We still need more resources from the field here. For example, we are going to focus then where is the potential? I start with this concept of potential, but we haven't. After we go over this basic parameter, we still haven't gone to this potential. Where's the potential? How did it fit in to our modeling? Here, we need some kind of the disciplinary knowledge in physiology to really unpack this conceptualization of potential. We talk about a little bit about this electrical phenomena in physiology. Now we are in physiology, not linguistics now, some basic knowledge here. We talk about cells, the basic structure and functional unit in physiology. This is the cell, tiny little thing. So cells, we have fluid, we have intracellular fluid and extracellular fluid in a cell. So what exactly? And in extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid are constituted by the ions or ionized molecules. What are they? These little particles or ions or ionized particles we refer to chlorine, this sodium, and the potassium. So one of the important property of these particles are they are positively or negatively charged. This is the property, right? So remember the property, they are positively and negatively charged. So the basic principle here is if we have separated electrical charges of different signals, they can move together. So they can create force. So here, what we have is actually, what important here is the difference in the amount of the electrical charges. So between 2 points, this difference of electrical charges between 2 points are referred to as potential difference, which is shortened as potential. So at the cell membrane, we have electrical charges inside the cell. We also have electrical charges outside the cell. But what we mattered here and what this conceptualization refers to is the difference. This difference in the electrical charge inside and outside the cells refers to as membrane potential. So this is about physiology, how physiologists interpret, explain this conceptualization of potential. But from the perspective of field, so how do we model this? To start with, at the first glance, it is a property because it can be array and gaugeable. It can be measured through this device called voltmeter, and it is can also as shown from these examples. So in this sense, it's a property, but there's more involved. Look, this potential thing, it is a part of a large family we call membrane potential family. So it means that it can be it can enter taxonomy relations. So we start with this membrane potential divided into 2 types, and then more types, more subtypes, and more subtypes. So the image, this idea is that they can enter this taxonomic relations, which is really elaborate. From this perspective, it's an item. So item can be taxonomized. So this conceptualization of potential here actually share features, has both features of both the property and item. So we need to consider it as an itemized property. It's an itemized property. So in this field modeling, we have this a particular field dimension is reconstrued as another. Is referred to as reconstrue. We have a reconstrue happening here. This is mapped in this subsystem of interdependency, reconstruing. So in the text, we also have besides apart from, in addition to itemized property, we have activated property. So property can be activated, and we can also have the itemized activity. Activity can be itemized, and we also have activated items. Just to give you another example here of this reconstrue activated property, because property is important for my talk. Here, we have this sentence here. Something less than the likelihood that postsynaptic cell will depolarize to threshold and generate an action potential. So this word depolarized is actually what happens here. Okay, again, electrical phenomenon. Again, here we start with just now we have this resting potential, right? So every cell has resting potential, which is stable. But some of the time, this resting potential will change. For example, if you are hit by somebody, there's going to be some kind of change in your membrane potential. So membrane potential, it changes. Then we have this kind of activity there. So depolarize is used to capture this idea of the membrane potential rising to above resting potential, and hyperpolarize refers to this concept that the membrane potential drop to lower than resting potential. So in terms of view, again, we have a kind of reconstruct here. We actually have the property, the array of property that are activated. So we can have this, we can visualize this unfolding of a property. So here we have the activated property. This activated property can be itemized again. It means we have the iterative property, iterative reconstruct. For example, again, we come back to this depolarization, depolarized. Just now we have this itemized property that is activated, right? We have this activated property, but after activated, it's depolarized. We can still itemize it in the form of depolarization. See, here we have itemized and activated property. So why do we have this? Because after this iterative reconstruct, it can be brought into, we can interpret it. We have multiple perspectives on the single phenomenon. For example, it can be, I will just wrap up here. It can be, as a property, can be numerically quantified, or it can be viewed dynamically as a potential changing over time. And it can also be qualified or taxonomized like items. For example, in this example, we have this slight depolarizations, just allow so many meaning potential for this single phenomenon. And after this, you can, I don't have time for this, but it can be interrelated. You have reconstruct items or reconstruct elements, and then you can bring it together. And the meaning, you can build up these meanings. You can bring in more elements together, and you can contribute, which can result in the more meanings, more higher level of complexity there. Okay, so that's all for my talk.